everyone. Welcome to Ecom Engine's webinar with WebInterpret on expanding your sales to Amazon North America. We're excited to be here today with the experts from WebInterpret, and I will let them introduce themselves. So Adrian, say hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm Adrian, CEO of WebInterpret. I've been with the business for about 7 years. Prior to that, I was the founder of a logistics company specialized in cross-border trade, which was called ShipBooster. And today, yes, hopefully we'll cover various topics around international expansion and international logistics.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sergey Lapitsky, and it's a pleasure to be here with you all today. A couple of words about myself. So my journey with Amazon began over a decade ago, back in 2013. Over the years, I've worn many hats, from being an Amazon seller, from managing products on Amazon for other sellers, and to managing ads. Now my primary focus is in Amazon advertising field. Amazon ads, I find it very incredibly exciting and dynamic, and I'm happy to talk about it with you.
Great, we're excited you're here. And I forgot to say, I'm Becky Trowbridge. I'm the digital marketing manager here at Ecom Engine, and I've been here for about 7.5 years. Started in a content role, and I spend a lot of time thinking about ways to optimize things for Amazon sellers. All right, so we'll go through the agenda really quickly. We're going to quickly talk about our companies and then opportunities and challenges associated with expanding into North America. It has a lot of opportunity, but it's also a very different market from the EU and UK. We'll talk about how to know when you're ready, because that can be tricky too, the timing. Compliance, tax, customs, and other regulations you should be considering, fulfillment options, and then we'll talk about listing optimization and Amazon advertising considerations, because you need to have a completely different look at your budget, as Sergey will kind of get into. So just quickly about Ecom Engine, we're a proud member of the Amazon Marketplace Developer Council. We've been providing software for Amazon sellers since 2007. We started offering custom solutions at that time, and then eventually rolled out our flagship tool, Feedback 5, which automates Amazon feedback and review requests and involves a lot of data and analytics around both of those, looking at your tracking reviews and looking at trends over time. And then our most recent tool is Seller Pulse, which offers 24/7 Amazon listing alerts. So we look at things like search suppression, buy box changes, looking for hijacking activity, all of those things that you definitely want to know about so you can take action right away. And then we actually include recommended actions in the alert email. So we make it really easy for you to get your listing back up and try to get back to where you were. And then Restock Pro is our FBA inventory management tool, and it analyzes over 70 data points to provide decision support for staying in stock without overstocking. And then I will turn it over to you guys to talk about WebInterpret.
Sure. So yes, actually, Becky, we started in 2007 as well. So same year as Ecom Engine. So really at WebInterpret, our mission is to help brand and retailers to grow their sales globally. So we are really a cross-border trade specialist in the context of marketplaces. We have two main solutions. Our historical solution, which is an eBay solution, where we help eBay sellers to expand globally on eBay marketplaces. We literally translate, localize product listing on multiple eBay sites, manage marketing campaign in multiple languages, and all that programmatically. We can help as well with international shipping and international return, and all that through the seller account. And more recently, we launched another solution for Amazon, where we are helping brands specifically to expand into new markets. And here the use case is, let's say you are a UK brand, you want to sell into Amazon US. WebInterpret would take your product physically in the UK, ship that into the US, and operate the entire country on your behalf, almost like a distributor. And we have been quite successful in that. We are generating about 350 million euro worth of sales every year for our customers. We have about 150 talents in our companies, and we are helping our customers to grow their sales by 15% on average.
Awesome. All right. So we wanted to kick off talking about the opportunities, obviously, because there is a lot of opportunity in North America, and then also challenges.
Yes, so we prepared for you a couple data just to sort of open up and show you how significant the opportunity of selling cross-border and selling especially into the US is. So the first data point is really a comparison of Amazon by market. And what you can see is that by far Amazon US is the biggest market for Amazon. And say if you are a UK brand, Amazon UK, which is the #1 marketplace in the UK, is about 30 billion a year. In the US, it's almost 360 billion a year, which is 10 times your domestic market. So thinking hard about how to crack the US and how to sell efficiently in the US could be very worth it, because again, the opportunity is very massive. And it's the same for Germany, right, which is the biggest European market. Again, the difference between the German market and the US market is about 10 times, so fairly significant. And yes, the second message really is that cross-border these days is the right sweet spot in e-commerce. Why? When we look at e-commerce trends, cross-border e-commerce tends to grow twice as fast as domestic e-commerce trend, right? So yes, cross-border trade in the context of e-commerce is quite a good place to be, especially that these days it is quite democratized, as about 70% of online shoppers had already purchased from a foreign seller. So the market is used to, let's say, cross-border transactions. So brands predominantly should not hesitate to take part from that opportunity and as well sell cross-border. And the last data point we prepared for you on the next slide, Becky, is why marketplace is the right place to start. Really, when you are launching a new market online, you can think of, let's say, two main approach, right? The first approach is to go direct to customers through your own web store, your .com site, let's say, or through marketplaces. Of course, you have pros and cons of each approach. However, the good thing with marketplace is the market share of marketplaces are generally greater than the D2C market. And when you are launching a new market, you need to think of your cost of acquisition of new buyers. Once you are launching through marketplaces, you are tapping into an existing buyer pool that is coming from the marketplace, right? So generally, your cost of acquisition is lower and your time to market is faster. So generally, we do recommend in the context of a new market launch to start from marketplaces. And last but not least,
challenges.
yes,
Sorry.
around the challenges really. So we sort of opened up to show you how big the opportunity could be around selling globally on marketplaces. But of course, this comes along with some challenges. When you launch a new market, first you need to think around, are your products compliant with the local regulation? Let's take an example of a toy seller. If you are, let's say, compliant in the UK or in Europe, it doesn't mean your toy will be compliant in the US market. So there are sometimes some compliance topics. There are as well taxes, like rules to be followed. Very often, for example, if you want to store your product in FBA in the US, you need to register for some sales taxes. You need some time as well to register your business in the US. So those things needs to be as well considered in the context of a market launch. And then, of course, there are all the regular e-commerce challenges. How do I translate my product? How do I localize the experience? In Europe, we use like a metric system that is not necessarily used in the US. So you need as well to make sure that the content of your listing is localized as well, so the American buyers would understand what you are trying to sell. And then you need to generate the traffic, the advertising is a great way to generate traffic on your listings. And once the traffic is there, you need to make sure you convert, which means proper language, which means proper shipping policy. And generally the best is to store locally. So all those things are challenges that come on top of your day-to-day operations when you are operating your domestic market.
All right. And then the big question, when is it time to start thinking about expanding?
Right. So that's generally a very good question, because you have some, let's say, brands or sellers on marketplaces that do international, but don't really do it seriously. They just take a few listings, they just post it internationally, do some international shipping, and that's fine, but you are never going to really profit from the full market potential. So generally what we do recommend is to be great at your domestic market. So let's say to operate Amazon UK greatly. And once you reach a certain GMV or level of sales that you are happy with, then you can start to replicate what you've learned into the UK, for example, into the US. And one great example is the feedback, right? Because to be successful internationally, you are much more likely to be successful if you generated some feedback already on your domestic market. And I guess, Becky, you would agree with that, right?
Yeah, we definitely see, you know, product reviews and seller feedback are both really important metrics for Amazon sellers. So I'm sure Sergey has a lot to say about reviews and advertising as well. You definitely need those good reviews. I think to be retail ready, you need at least a 3.5-star average rating and I believe 17 or 18 reviews, but you can't even start really pushing your product until you've got those initial reviews. So Feedback 5 does help you send review requests and get those initial reviews. And then the feedback piece also, if you're trying to win the buy box, if you're a private label seller, you have your own brand, or if you're reselling, depending on what you're doing, definitely getting that seller feedback and making sure that those metrics are always good. Amazon looks a lot at your metrics to decide things about you, like whether you're able to be eligible for a program or, you know, maybe you're eligible for a beta rollout and things like that. So definitely making sure that you're continuing to get feedback and reviews. And we do offer feedback and review management in 17 international marketplaces, including Europe and the UK, several countries in Europe and the UK. So yeah.
Yeah. And another key element really is around the advertising, right? Because like I said earlier, it's really important to be retail ready from your domestic market. And that is highly tied and connected with your Amazon advertising efficiency. Sergey, you can potentially say a bit more about it?
Yes, definitely. If you want to push a new product into your product into a new market, of course, it's better to have already some experience with advertising this particular product in your domestic market, because you know with what company, what advertising campaigns work, what campaigns doesn't work. You have content for advertising campaigns, like for sponsored brand campaigns that you can test in the new market. And of course you have some keywords that already work in a new in your domestic market, and then you can test them in the new market. So you have something to start with.
I forgot to say earlier, we are recording this and we will send the recording. And also you can ask us questions at any time. So I'm going to jump in with here for both of you. So if I was based in the UK and I was looking to launch in the US, would you recommend starting with 1 to 3 hero products? How do you decide how many products to?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the way how we do that for our customers, we follow two strategies. The first strategy is based on their domestic sale, right? So we take a look at the 80-20, we take the top sellers, we then send it in Amazon US, store it there, and you know, sell those top sellers. That's one approach that tends to work quite well. But then you can have as well another approach, which is more demand driven. So whenever there is a brand that we are launching, we always make a quick demand analysis to take a look at the niche, the competition, what are the price points, is there a lot of competition for that particular niche? Because even though you are a top seller in a certain category in the UK, it doesn't mean you will become a top seller in the US, because there might be competition for many years with many more reviews that have well-functioning campaigns. So generally, once we launch brands, we look at those two things, the top sellers, but we cross-check it with a sort of a competitor analysis in the target market. Sergey, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, definitely. So when from the advertising point of view, it's better to start advertising when you put your new product in the new market, because you definitely can use just because that actually the goal is to start sales as fast as possible, and in order to sell, you need to put your offer in front of the eyes of the potential buyers. And sometimes advertising is the only solution to make it quick.
Yeah. Amazon really rewards that. I know when you launch a product domestically, but I'm assuming also when you're going cross-border, when you have those sales right away, then you kind of get seen as, you know, an up and coming product, and they do more placement for you. It helps you in the organic search results as well. So the advertising really plays into your long-term strategy, I would assume, once you get established in the market too, just having that initial. Would you, from a budget standpoint, do you typically spend more in the first month or like how long do you really do the launch piece of the advertising strategy versus the maintenance side?
The launch time, usually it's about a month or 2 months, depending on the product and demand, on the budget, of course, because when we start a new product in a new market, we need to get like a data just to understand how this what the potential of this product. So we suggest to have a certain amount of money just to invest into launch advertising in order to get initial like the minimum amount of clicks, the minimum data, the minimum information about the keywords, and then after that just start optimizing. If the conversion is okay, good, there are sales, then you can continue running advertising and to optimize advertising campaigns. If there are some issues and there are no sales, so just clicks, people click, we can see that search terms are relevant to the product, but people don't buy, then there is something wrong with the offer. And it's better to maybe just slow down the advertising or even pause it and just to test, to try to understand what's wrong with the offer and how to improve the offer, how to improve the listing, and after that just start advertising again.
Makes sense. So I'm going to jump into everyone's favorite topic, which is regulatory compliance. So we wanted to talk about, you know, there's a lot going on with taxes, customs, other regulations when you're going cross-border. So I would like to know a couple of, you know, what have you seen go wrong for sellers when they don't follow? I feel like there's always kind of an unwritten, we see this a lot with Amazon review policy. We talk to sellers all the time that say, but I didn't know. And it's so hard because there's so much information as a seller to try to take in all the time, and the best practices versus what's like an actual regulation or guideline. And so what have you seen go wrong for people that they didn't even realize that they were not following a regulation?
Yes, that's a really vast topic, especially in the context of marketplaces. Very often, smaller businesses do not always follow the guidelines. Sometimes it's okay because it's accepted, but sometimes you can come across very, very serious issues. And from my background, both at WebInterpret and before with my logistics background, I saw a lot of issues related to that. So maybe a bit of a recap first on what needs to be done as a basic when going into the US, and then I'll give a few examples. So let's say the basic for an Amazon seller that wants to launch into the US is to sort out, let's say, the tax topic, which is very often ignored by the sellers. So when you are selling into the US as a European business, for example, you need to get a number to file, for example, for your yearly tax return. So that you are going to declare your revenue in Europe, but you still need to file some documentation in the US to say that you are going to pay your income tax in Europe. Very often that's omitted by the sellers or the brands on Amazon. Another key element is all around the sales taxes. Since 2021, the sales tax management in the context of marketplaces in the US have improved. It is definitely easier these days to manage sales taxes because it's predominantly managed by Amazon. Yet, in some states, you still need to register to get your sales tax number in order to be storing your product, for example, in FBA, right? So in some states in the US, whenever you have some stock in a certain state, you need to obtain a sales tax number and then to file on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. Or sometimes, depending on your level of yearly sales or yearly transaction, you as well need to get your UL sales tax per state, depending on the state, and again, make your declaration on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis. And again, for European sellers, very often this is omitted because they are operating below the radar. But when a state finds out that you are not necessarily compliant with that, you can really get into trouble. We had many examples with some prospect or customers that came to us. An example that comes to my mind, a customer was not filing in Ohio, right, in the US, European business, right? Once the state found out, they got a penalty, which came on top of all the reimbursement they had to cover for the past few years, right? So this could be very severe, especially for medium-sized businesses. So generally, once we are launching someone in the US, we need to make sure that the taxes predominantly are being covered. And then equally on the, let's say, custom parts, whenever you are shipping item, let's say from Europe to the US, you need to have all the compliance form to make sure that your product could be resold in the target market, so that when your product are passing through the customs, they can go through. You have all the documentation, so it can go. Again, very often we saw customers sending a product which were neither authorized by the US authorities. I'm thinking about a food customer of ours. He was selling some food supplements. The compliance documents were not properly made. The product was shipped, all in custom, destroyed in custom, and all the cargo was literally lost, right? So this is as well something that needs to be very looked after, if you like, prior to a launch. And that could be very vast. I'm thinking as well about the labeling, right? When in the context of multi-language, so let's say if you are selling into US, Canada, and Mexico, you can cover multiple languages, right? And then sometimes it's recommended on your label, on your product to cover multiple languages for compliance reason as well. So it is a very vast topic. Some things are mandatory, some things are nice to have, but this needs to be really cross-checked before entering into a new market.
You don't want any surprises.
No,
All right.
definitely.
We started to talk about fulfillment a little bit with labeling, because I assume that's a big piece when you're sending products cross-border. So what kind of fulfillment options are there for sellers from the UK and Europe if they're looking to sell in the US?
Yeah, so generally there are two main strategies, as everybody know on Amazon, right? You've got the MFN or fulfilled by merchant, FBM, right? So literally that would be a context of a European seller or brand that would ship from Europe to the US. And then you've got the FBA strategy, where you are shipping product in bulk into Amazon North America, and then you would distribute your product locally from the US and from North America. Generally, we definitely recommend for a brand that is serious about entering the North American market to do FBA, right? So to use the Amazon fulfillment network for various reasons. One of them is for the buyer feedback, to make sure your seller rating is maximized, because as you know, if there is an issue with the logistics on FBA, your bad ratings would be voided. So for seller health, that's better. But first and foremost, for the conversion, that is as well much better, because when you are investing a lot on driving traffic through Amazon advertising on a product listings, the last things you want is to invest a lot to get traffic and then to lose that traffic because the delivery time is 10 days, 15 days, because it comes from Europe. So generally, it's very recommended to use Amazon FBA for conversion purpose, for seller rating purpose, and as well for cost purpose. Amazon have fairly good rates in a context of FBA, and plus they have so many warehouses in the US that when you spread across the stock across the US, the stock will be closer to the end buyer, which again is better for a buyer experience. When you do FBM, so shipping from Europe to US, a lot of bad surprises can happen. Product stocking custom, very long time to deliver, issue with the tracking. So generally, that's not the best when entering a new market. That being said, operating through Amazon FBA from a European seller could be challenging, because you need to ship in bulk your item into the US. In the context of very small item, that's okay. But when you start to have bigger volume, or if you have bigger sized item, then you need to think about some consolidation, so you can palletize or send stuff via container to decrease your cost of shipment. But again, to organize a journey, let's say from the UK to the US, could be quite complex when it comes to sending a container or sending a pallet. So it's generally better to use expert logistics company that can do that for you.
Makes sense. I would assume there's a lot of expense with FBM as well, if you're going like one off to the post office, sending from Europe to the
Totally.
US. All right. I'm going to share my screen because, oh, let's see. All right. Do we have the right sponsored products up?
Yeah, so I can say about advertising. In general, what is good and moving internationally is that Amazon loves international sellers, and going internationally, it's going in line with how Amazon is growing its services. For example, even if we talk about advertising, Amazon makes it make it easy, just in a couple of clicks, to launch sponsored product campaigns in several markets simultaneously at one moment. So you just create advertising campaigns, and then you just click, and these campaigns are starting by Amazon in some other international markets. Or, for example, if you already have a campaign, you can copy this campaign into another market. And this is also very easy, because basically you don't you just save your time and efforts on starting advertising, and then Amazon just works and optimizes these campaigns for them. Of course, starting it has pros and cons that starting that campaigns. And as I said, pros, it's saving time, it's better to spend this time on like business rather than just starting campaigns one by one for every product, for example. Then it's when if you already have working campaigns on domestic market, then you can copy it, and the budgets, the currency, the products you have in those campaigns, and also the bids, what Amazon suggests, it will be all transferred into another market. And now it's even possible to start, if you have, for example, a sponsored product campaign, it is possible to start sponsored display campaign, just copying sponsored product campaign. So it's also good to start with a new type of advertising campaigns on Amazon. There
There's
are
some
some
drawbacks, right?
Yes. Well, for somebody it could be drawbacks, but in fact there are some drawbacks. For example, we can start automatically only automatically targeted sponsored product campaigns. So automatically targeting campaigns, it's the type of campaigns where we don't have much influence on targets where we want to show. So we just ask Amazon to take care of it. It's very basic type of campaigns. Then like a more important drawback in this case of starting automatically in other markets, it's we can start campaigns across countries within the same region. For example, the region is North America or Europe. For example, we can't just start campaigns that we already have in the UK. We can't just copy them into United States. We can copy from Germany to Italy, or from the United States to Canada, but not between regions. And of course, even if we want to copy automatically targeting campaign, it's nowadays it's not enough to usually we need to use full set of possibilities that Amazon provides to advertisers, like sponsored products, sponsored displays, sponsored brand campaigns. And just to have just one automatically targeting campaigns is not enough. So we need to start like the full set of campaigns. And for example, just to illustrate why we need more than just one auto campaigns, I can show you a story about a brand that's called Bienser. This is a private brand dedicated to desk lamps. The brand is registered with Amazon Brand Registry in the UK. It has a brand store, A+ content. So the seller invested in this brand, but it's not selling in the US. However, if this if US could be a new market for this brand, it doesn't mean that this new market doesn't know the brand. Basically, I tried to find this brand in the US, and I see in the search results that competitors already have advertising in the search result page. So for that brand, it means that if a Bienser wants to go into the United States, then just starting auto campaign is totally not enough, because this brand should protect its brand name, for example, to be sure that if someone is searching for the brand, then that its offers are in the search result page. So this is very like a good example how brand protection strategy is important, but brand protection strategy include full set of advertising campaigns started for a product, for a brand. Well, another thing about starting internationally, especially in the United States, it's United States is a huge market, like as Adrian, you said in the beginning. So the amount of competition is very high. And the more competitors we have, the higher the bids in the advertising. So for example, this is two examples of three keywords bids that Amazon suggests to have in order to have like reasonable traffic in the UK and in the US, and you can see that in the US is higher. So if you go into a new market, it's better to think about advertising spends as investments, at least at the beginning when you start, like first month, 2 months, just in order to understand this new market, understand how the product could be positioned in this market, and yeah, and plan advertising budget for that.
Oh, sorry. Was there anything else that you wanted to touch on about advertising?
I think there are, of course, many different topics about advertising in the US, starting from UK into US, or so maybe if there are some questions, so then I can answer.
Yeah, feel free to put any questions in the chat. And a lot to think about. There's a lot of opportunity, like Adrian was saying, but there's also a lot just to make sure that you have everything buttoned up before you launch. Because I imagine, have you seen people try to launch on their own and just really fail spectacularly or really struggle in the new market if they don't have help?
Yes.
You know, what's that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we speak with many clients. We have about 40,000 merchants on our customer base. We sort of saw a lot of different use cases. But you've got, like I would say, you've got like few groups of customers, right? Some of them do stuff internally, right? They have internal team. They try to operate it internally. Generally, they think they do it all well, which generally they do in a certain region. But when it comes to far region, so let's say in the context of a European sellers to sell into Amazon, I don't know, Saudi Arabia or into Amazon US, it is generally a different game. So sometimes it is hard for this type of clients to accept that things needs to be done differently. And then you've got another type of customer that we see is that they generally don't have the workforce to launch internationally. So they just focus on their domestic operation. They do that very well, and they are looking for some help to expand internationally. But a lot of customers as well, they do it what we call passively, which means, like I said earlier, they are shipping from the UK to the US from their UK operation. They just list their product and ship it from the UK, right? Which is not always optimized.
Right.
Yes,
So then, yes.
I can add also about advertising. For example, there are some like a passive, as Adrian, you say, way to start advertising, because like Amazon always says that it's very easy to start advertising, and in fact it's easy. You can just click and start automatically targeting campaign. Just put all your products, put in one automatically targeting campaign, and basically advertising is running. But in fact, it's not. It shouldn't be like that, because after this advertising campaigns, the seller just doesn't control targets, doesn't control bids, doesn't understand which search term actually converted which products, because if there are many search terms, and many products in one campaign, and then it's in automatic targeting campaign, it's impossible to see which search term triggered sale for which product. But sometimes sellers think that it's very easy. They just start automatic campaign and then surprised by bad results and basically don't know what to do further. So it's good to think a little bit deeper and to start like more like strategically having in mind that what to do in 1 month, in 2 months, in 5 months with advertising, which targets to have. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, with advertising, Amazon's always going to make it easy for you to spend your money, but
Exactly.
Amazon's not worried about whether you're spending your money properly or considering like your cost of goods versus your profits. And so I think having that bigger picture and really thinking about the strategy behind it and the strategy behind your budget is really important. But like you said, it's really easy to push a button and just say, hey, yeah, let's run some ads. But if you're not getting that data, especially the keyword piece is so important.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
you might have one keyword that's driving all of your sales and then you're paying for all these other keywords and optimizing around that. And getting back into listing optimization a little bit too. You know, if you have a keyword that's really driving sales and it's not a prominent piece of your listing, you might want to create some A+ content around it. You might want to, you know, look for ways to work it into your description more and just make it more of a natural piece of the listing itself. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Web Interpret because I know you guys have a pretty unique model. So do you mind just sharing what you do for sellers when they're looking to launch and how you kind of take the guesswork out of the process?
Sure. Our mission, like I said, is to make brands successful globally on marketplaces. And I hope that by now it's more clear what are the challenges around international selling. So basically what we are trying to do is to make it as easy as possible for brands in the context of going global. So our Amazon solution is fairly straightforward, right? When we partner with a brand, they just tell us what they want to sell. Let's say in the US, we agree on the assortment they want to sell to, and then we take it from there, right? So we go and pick up the product in the UK. We have a warehouse and a hub in the UK. We receive it from there. We then manage all the international logistics for our customers, let's say from the UK to the US, and then we are going to sell and operate a given market for the brand, which means we take care of the listings, we take care of the content, we take care of advertising, we take care of promotion, we take care of pricing. And the beauty of our model is that we do all that in line with the brand strategy, right? And we have quite a lot of technology behind that, so we can operate at scale with a reasonable cost of operations. And so if you go to the next slide, Becky, it's another way to show it. If a brand wants to launch into the US, they would need to, like I said earlier, register for their taxes, for their import, for their compliance and everything. They would need to translate or localize their content. They need to work out constantly their SEO, their listing and their content. They need to manage their marketing campaigns. They need to manage the logistics. And so they need a set of partners to do that per country. What Web Interpret essentially do is that we take care of it all. You just come with Web Interpret, hand over some stuff to us, align on your strategy on a given market, and then we cover it all for you, sell it, and you just see your business grow, and you let Web Interpret do that essentially.
Great. Well, we wanted to thank you all for being here today. So we did have a couple of special offers. We're offering $15 off your first month of Feedback 5, and that would also apply to Seller Pulse. You can actually bundle those tools together. So basically it's a free trial and then $15 off your first month to give that a try and start getting more reviews. And you can use that. Each account is actually available in every marketplace that we serve. So you don't have to pay additional for additional stores. So if you're looking to expand to the US or Canada or somewhere else, you could have an account in, say, the UK and use it in the US as well. And then Adrian, did you want to share Web Interpret It's offering a free
Sure.
consult.
Yes, so in case you are interested to expand internationally, especially in the context of the US, feel free to book a call with one of our experts. They could run a free consultation for you, tell you what would be the best approach to tap into the US market or any other international market of your interest, tell you what needs to be done, what are the gaps in your existing Amazon. And yes, take it from there. There is as well an ebook that you can get for free around the US market predominantly and what needs to be done to be successful there.
Great. And I'll include all of that in the follow-up email, and I'll have the recording there as well. So if you were trying to take notes, you can always go back to see more about what we were talking about today. So with that, I just wanted to say thanks again to everybody for attending today. We're glad to have you here with us and wish you the best of luck if you're planning to expand into Europe or expanding to the US from Europe. And our partners at WebInterpret are happy to help you get started. And we're always here if you have any questions. And have a great day. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.